All right, welcome everybody to Baby Broker to Boss Broker, going from zero to zeros. I am your host, Cale Pearson with B2B Transportation, and Joey McDougall is our first baby broker up. How you doing, Joey?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So you just made me nervous when you disappeared like 15 seconds before we went live, though. So I'm not gonna lie about that. I was like, where'd he go?
Shut the door.
Yeah.
Shut the door.
That's kind of what I figured. So Joey's in our office. He's actually in my office in Medford today. I'm at home, and
pretty nice in here.
we're ready to get this party started. So we're excited about it. We hope that you guys are too. Based on what we've seen with people, sending messages, reaching out, pre-registering for this event, it seems like people are excited about this. So our goal today is to entertain, but really educate on what we're doing as a company, onboarding, what that process looks like. We'll do this 3 times a week with each baby broker, and you guys can follow along. So before we jump into the episode, if you do me a favor, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please do that. Many of you are probably watching from our YouTube channel or LinkedIn, most likely. So hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate that, and follow along. And next thing I want to do is talk about why we're doing this process, and what really was the impetus for this. And so we have to travel back a little bit in time for one of my first onboardings into the trucking industry. So let's go back all the way to 2003. I just moved from California to Oregon, went to work for a trucking company. They were a carrier of mine when I was in as a shipping and traffic manager, and was super excited. Got in there first day. I don't even know if we had any onboarding. It was like, there's your desk, get started. So many of you probably have similar experiences. So every time we hire somebody, that just sticks in my mind of how I felt, how lost I was. I felt like I was a pretty smart person, but I felt lost. And so we don't want to do that to our team members. And I've heard a lot of similar stories from people, either in this industry or any industry for that matter. So through this process, we're going to shine the light on ourselves as well. What are we doing? And I'll give Joey the opportunity to later in the show, talk about what are we not doing well as well. So I think that's important that we learn from this process. So next thing I want to do is before we kind of get in it too much, is do me a favor. If you are logged in, drop a comment in the comment section. Let us know where you're logging in from and how long you've been in transportation. And if you're not in transportation, you can leave it blank or put your industry, and we'll kind of circle back to those. And our fellow baby broker, Alan, who is up next, has already commented, "Let's go, Joey." So thanks for that, Alan. Appreciate it.
Hey.
So we've got a couple other comments. We'll get to those here in a little bit, but let's jump to the reason why we're really here. So Joey, welcome. Tell us, a little bit about yourself. How you found B2B transportation is one of the things I wanted to talk about, and then a little bit about who you are.
Start off to the top.
How'd you learn about us?
I have family in the business, and they told me this is the best place to be. And also, I cross-referenced it with the internet and like LinkedIn and Indeed, and it had really high scores and very positive reviews.
Awesome. Tell us, work history, maybe some jobs that you had that you think will translate to this industry, and then we'll kind of go from there.
I spent last 13 years working in a different type of mills. I was a quality control supervisor. I had leadership in there and be able to talk to people. So I think that would be a good step forward for me to talk to customers, talk to people on the phone, be more personal. So I think I have a step up on that one.
Yeah, great. So tell us a little bit more about who Joey is, and, maybe whatever you're comfortable sharing as far as family and your roots, if you're from the Medford area, those sorts of things.
I've been married for 5 years to my wife. She's probably listening. Love you, honey. I have 2 girls. One's turning 4 in 6 days, and I have an 8-month-old right now. I'm about to say she's almost 9, but she's still 8. So, and of course, I'm pretty close to my family. I think they're all online right now watching. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. So you still have some sleepless nights, or at least some interrupted sleep, I'm assuming, at times.
Yep.
All right. So we'll cut you a little slack if you come in and looking a little tired. We'll just assume that it was the baby that kept you up. So
yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. And you're from Medford area originally?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
Born and raised here in the Rogue Valley.
Awesome. So yeah, for those of you who don't know, B2B Transportation is located in Medford, Oregon, Southern Oregon. If you don't know Oregon, probably, those of you that are in the East, there's some hot spots, Chicago, in Tennessee, there's a lot of hot spots for brokerages, but Medford is really a hot spot for freight brokerages, because a lot of the people that are now freight brokers or started them, were in the lumber industry, trading lumber, and then the natural transition was to be a freight broker. So a little fun fact there about the Medford area. One of the things I want to talk about before we kind of get into what we've done is, tell me about, like, thinking back in your life, a best coach or mentor that you've had in your life, whether it was as a kid, playing sports, a boss. Who was that? And maybe give us a little detail of why they made an impact on your life.
That teacher, I want to say, is my speech therapist I had for 12 years. She was with me since I was 5, all the way up to 8th grade. I think she mentored me a lot, tried to help me out with, my problems I had. Mm-hmm. Another one I had was my old running coach in high school. I had him for 4 years, saw him pretty much every day. And, that was a great push.
That's awesome. So, that's something I learned. I didn't obviously know. I don't know a ton about your history. We did the interview. We've had a week together, but it's been, more about here's what we're going to teach you. So it's great to hear some stories about you. I want to make a connection to the speech therapist, because, a lot of times as kids, that's a challenge. And, all of our challenges shape who we are and how we're able to persevere. So how do you think that process is going to help you as you enter a new career that you really don't know a lot about?
I think just help me just to try to connect people.
That's great. Probably because you understand maybe some challenges of where you came from and how hard that was to connect for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate that. That's hard sometimes to share that information. Going to the running coach, what was special about the running coach?
I just had him there. I mean, I was not familiar with running long distance. I mean, I did a little bit in track in middle school, but then venturing into high school, I never did that. I did football. I mean, what's a 5K? How long am I supposed to run? And it was an eye-opener experience of just like, first year is just getting my feet wet, and then it got more advanced to where you got like 4th in state, and then we just went up from there.
But that's awesome. Cool. And you still run to this day?
I try.
All right, we'll have to get out. We'll have to get out together. So let's fast forward. Here we are, October 4th, 10-4, good buddy. For those of us in the trucking industry, what a great day. We started Monday, September 30th. So kind of walk us through, how has this first week been? Let's start with Monday. What did that look like? Maybe hit some high points that's really stuck out to you so far.
I felt like a fish out of water because, of course, I've never done this before. But I felt welcomed by my new coworkers. I got a lot of emails, a lot of like little memes, little like videos. So I was felt a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
First day was good. I enjoyed going to see the trucks at the pilot station in Central Point. That was a cool experience. And, I got to know you a little bit more. And of course, my other coworkers who went on that trip. So that was a fun trip.
Yeah. So I want to do something real quick since you mentioned that. Just share a quick video of us going over there, and I think it'll kind of give people an idea of what we did. So this was my ugly mug over there.
That's me.
So that's just a little prelude to our team that was over there. And the reason we wanted to do that on day one was kind of get people out. So those are the three. We apologize to Alan. Our editor spelt it incorrectly, but we'll get that corrected going forward. So Alan, Crystal, and Joey are all brand new. They're going to have their turn and be in the hot seat, being nervous and working through this. But one of the other things we really wanted to do with this process is I always talk about positive pressure. And what I mean by that is putting people in test scenarios that they're going to learn and build skills that they are going to need for this job without, fear of failure. So, this is probably the first time Joey's ever done this. I told him I was nervous and he's like, you do this all the time. I'm like, I do, but I'm still nervous. So it's okay to be nervous. It just means we care is really what it's about. So when we went to the truck stop, Joey, what was one of the things that really stood out to you that day?
I've been in mills, so I know trucks, but there's certain trucks I didn't know about, like the step downs and like how you load that, the paper and Steve's story about how the paper's loaded, certain things I didn't think about or I've never experienced, never seen before. So it's nice to get that insight.
That's great. So I want to do a quick shout out to somebody that dropped a comment. So Thomas, appreciate it. Need to share the wins and losses. Love it. So if you don't know who Thomas is, he runs Think Freight podcast newsletter, really active on LinkedIn. Actually, in about 47 minutes, him and I are going to do a podcast today. We did one a few weeks. Well, it's probably been a month or so ago on freight guards and the importance of those. And so if you haven't clued into Thomas, he's a great wealth of information. So appreciate you logging on here, Thomas, and can't wait to jump on with you here in a little bit. All right, so let's get back to week one. We got day one. What has really stood out to you so far that maybe you haven't mentioned?
The different programs that are used daily, and it just how calm and relaxed everyone is in the office. I came from a loud environment, so it's always just weird to hear like kind of silence. Mm-hmm. I kind of imagine being here like Wolf on Wall Street, the movie, how it's like a lot of moving care parts and, on the phone, not so much, like screaming and everything like that, but hit a watered down version of that.
I promise you that'll happen. Right now the market's a little slow, being that we're bringing 3 new people in. Obviously we're doing a lot of training there. But it will happen, and we'll have those moments, and there'll be people talking over each other, trying to get louder on the phone, probably having some disagreements. One of the things that is going to happen is disagreements, and that's okay. It's how we deal with them as an organization. And if we all want the same goal of moving that load and safely and servicing the customer, then we're going to figure it out. And it's okay to disagree. I actually encourage our teams, let's have a little positive disagreement. As long as it doesn't become personal, it's a positive process. So it'll get there. All right. So looking back at week 1 so far, here's your opportunity maybe to put the spotlight a little bit on me, the organization. What is something that we could have done better?
I would prefer being thrown in the deep end and then bringing me into the shallow end. That's what I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anything could be better. Steven, yourself answered all my questions and explained everything the best you can. I mean, it is, pieces here and there, but you answered my questions.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's crazy when we're used to something that's maybe not the best, right? About a training process, but that's what we're used to and what we're comfortable. It feels a little weird to maybe slow it down and actually take the time. And that's what most people do in this industry is there's your desk. There are some great organizations that do a lot of great things, but the smaller ones, it's kind of, you just learn on the fly, handle this, do this type thing, just a lot of like push down. Whereas we're really trying to give you guys a full education so that, a year in, you have such a base knowledge that, it takes people 5, 6, 7, 8 years to get that base knowledge. So, it'll be good, so we'll put pressure on you. I can promise you that we'll get there. So,
Perfect.
So what are some of the tools that we've shared already that are going to be common to this industry? Whether apps or websites, those sorts of things.
Let's see if I can get them all. There's TruckMate, TruckStop, Courier 411, My Carrier, LinkedIn, Zoom, YouTube, Cardone University.
Yeah, Grant Cardone.
The last one I got, the CRM.
Sales Dash. Yeah.
Sales Dash. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. We just got started on that, Wednesday or Thursday. So,
yes.
That's another product. And just by the way, we're not sponsored, but I like sharing things that we're using. Sales Dash CRM. We just signed up with that. And what I really like about that is it's specific to our industry. And it's gonna be relevant to what we're doing. There's a lot of tools within that. So if you don't know it, check it out. Reach out to Josh or Drew. They can hook you up. And I'll just continue the shout out for them. One of the things that I liked about them is, I asked them what sets them apart. Is like, you can get a hold of us. I called Josh yesterday. We had some questions, spoke for a while. So that is absolutely 100% true. So how are you doing? Obviously this is the first time we're going live. What scares you about the social media piece?
I'm getting more comfortable on the LinkedIn. I made my first post today about wearing Jordan shoes in the office. First time I've ever done that.
Nice.
I'm still on edge about the YouTube live. Just I haven't experienced it. So hopefully next week when we do this, I'll feel a little more comfortable. It's something I've never done. I'm just not familiar with it.
Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to do with this process is make sure that, we're raising the whole industry up. And I think this process will really do that because it's going to share with the industry what we're doing, what's working, what's not. So let's get into a little bit more stuff. As far as, so day one, we went to the truck stop. Tell me about, working with Steve. He has a lot of industry experience, has owned a trucking company, been in several brokerages. He's of a certain age. If you've seen him, sorry, Steve, that's not ageism or anything. It's just the facts. And the one thing about Steve is great is his experience, but he's also really calm. And I would say a great sport. Sometimes the girls in the office give Steve a lot of hard time, and it's pretty funny. So, so what's one of the things working with Steve that you've appreciated?
He answered all my questions. He answered my questions until the best he can.
Mm-hmm.
Gets me know my knowledge. I can't just ask him a question, have him explain everything. He'll explain the part until he says, we'll get to that point, which is perfectly fine with me. But yeah any question I have, I'll answer it the best he can. And he's very soft-spoken, very easy. Like you can go talk to him. I greatly appreciate him.
That's awesome. So we do have a question. Thomas dropped a couple questions in here. So we got one on the screen. What's your biggest worry about joining the industry? Joseph McDougall.
Worry? I really don't know. I guess maybe just not being familiar of the industry itself, being my first week. But within time, I'm going to feel more comfortable with everything.
Okay. On the flip side, what are you most excited about?
I think trying to cold call people. I think that's going to be a fun adventure for myself.
So let's talk about that. So we haven't chatted about this, but I'm just going to drop it to you on live. We're going to start calling carriers really soon. We kind of mentioned that, but we have a bid that we're working on that's coming up, and we're going to give each one of the three of you certain areas of the country, and we're just going to start calling carriers because we feel like that's a great way where a lot of us have started, whether it's check calls or carriers calling them and saying, hey, we have this bid XYZ to XYZ. How many trucks do you have? It's flatbed. Do you have tarps, etc.? So we'll go through that, and that'll be nervous, but you really don't have a lot to lose necessarily. From a customer perspective, like if we just threw you in the deep end calling customers, that might be a really good potential customer, but we just blew that opportunity because you have freight, that type of thing. So we'll get you comfortable with that.
Awesome.
So very, very soon. And so I just want to kind of talk about some people that we have that are logged in, where they're coming in. So we got Eric from Youngstown, Ohio. That's a great thing about this industry is we're everywhere. Susan from Denver, sounds like 14 years in the industry, and we have some of the same horror stories. I think that's pretty common. We got a Medford, of course. We've got Akib. Hopefully I said that correctly. I know we chatted in the past. He's a freight agent as well. He's down in California, Southern California, I believe, Northwest Montana. A little bit of all over. So it's pretty cool about this industry. So what are you looking forward to next week, Joey? What's the thing that you're looking most forward to next week?
Like calling the carrier, sounds like.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun. I mean, I do enjoy the training videos, but it'd be nice to be a little bit hands-on.
Yeah. So let's shift back to that since you mentioned that. What are we doing as far as sales training for you?
We went through all the websites, the TruckMate, TruckStop, Carrier 411.
But specifically like the sales training that we're doing, the Grant Cardone, maybe walk through that a little bit.
The Grant Cardone is like many different subjects. Right now, I'm on the point of just cold calling, the warm call, going through that process, how to sale pitch, first 20 seconds of a phone call, just the do's and don'ts. Mm-hmm. So it was quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I mean,
there's so many modules, but I think that's so important is that we're something to refer back to too. I think a lot of times in training we get overwhelmed and we can't remember it all. So it's important if you are a manager or leader in this industry, if you're training people, think about always relate back to how you felt the day you started, and that will ground you because you may have been doing this for 10 or even 5 years, and now it's just comfortable. And so when we're doing training, it's giving them documents, giving them tools that they can refer back to. That way, if they don't feel comfortable saying, hey, Cale, I know we talked about this, and I don't want to put people in a situation where they don't feel like they're comfortable enough to ask that. They have the tools. Obviously, we want them to ask, but not everybody has that comfort level, especially if you've done it 3 or 4 or 5 times. You're like, it's just hard to stick in. So repetition and going back to that is key. With that sales training, what was like the if you had to pick one thing out of it so far that was kind of like, man, I had no idea, or that's really helpful, what would it be?
Not saying, how are you doing? I think I'm gonna have a hard time doing that. I think it's like an automatic thing in my head. Just say, hey, how you doing? So
Like on the initial part of the call or what?
Yes.
And what's their recommendation?
Not to say that.
To say what specifically? Anything
And
else?
just get to the point.
Yeah.
Don't use your last name, first name, company. Like kind of get to the point because they don't want to, take people's time.
All right. So put you on the spot. You just called me. Hey, this is Cale with B2B Transportation. What are you going to say?
Hey, Cale. My name is Joey. I'm from B2B Transportation. I have my script written down. I wasn't ready for it.
Hey, that's okay.
Put me on the spot for sure.
That's, it's that positive pressure. And sometimes, we need that. And I'm probably going to do that to you a lot. So you better get used to it. Because that's how we learn. We have an idea of what we're going to say, but man, they pick up that phone and just our memory it's like our computer was just wiped clean, right? It's kind of crazy. So, all right, next thing on Grant Cardone, is there anything else that you would say from the sales training that you're really looking forward to in jumping in that?
Nothing I can think of right now, but of course, I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
But right. It's a good experience. It's a little different, but he's a pretty intense guy.
Yep. Oh, he is. He's very intense. All right. So looking where we're at, we're end of week 1. Has there been man, I had no idea about this industry, something like that? What would it be if there was one thing that you can pick out that you were wow, I had no idea about?
I think probably the biggest surprise that I had is just the different programs that are being used. Some of them don't link up to each other, and then just getting comfortable with having 8-7 tabs open on your computer on the internet and just cycle through everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like a lot of stuff is integrated, but it's still like you can be integrated into DAT and truck stop, but you need to go there for something else. Or, MCP, My Carrier portal is integrated, but you still need to go there to send the invite, so there's just a lot of little things that, that we have to deal with. Right. And then you haven't even got into customer portals yet, where everybody has their own portal. So you're going to have, more than 7 or 8 tabs at some point. You're going to be like, okay, like if you don't shut your computer down for some days, and as soon as you come in and you have like 20 tabs open, you're like, okay, I gotta start over here. Awesome. Good stuff. So next week, anything that you want to learn as we head into next week?
I don't know. I was going day by day. You guys have a training program, an outline. So I'm just going to take what you guys give me.
Yeah. So this comment from Thomas, 200 portal logins. Is that, Thomas, drop another one if you can. Is that how many portal logins you had at one time? That's kind of interesting. I can imagine it gets pretty nuts out there. So end of week 1, what's one tip that you have for people that are brand new to this industry, looking to get into it, or have recently started a new job like you?
Take the try to soak up much knowledge. Listen to people talking on the phone. I mean, I'm doing the training videos, but if I hear someone saying something in the office, I try to pause it so I can hear them, like just them talking about whatever that subject. Just soak in much knowledge as possible. Yeah,
that's good. So Thomas said it was actually like 45 at the most. I can identify with that. I know it's like I don't move freight a lot, but it's kind of interesting for me. This week we have an agent out, and so Steve and I tag teamed his book, and it was really good for me because that's one of the things that I always try to share with people is like I always look at our organization of how does it affect the person moving the freight, those decisions we're making, the policies, the procedures. And so every now and then I need to get in and move some freight, and it's kind of fun and exciting. I mean, I couldn't manage and task the task every day because I have a company to run. But jumping into the fray every now and then is awesome because, I can, if there's a problem with it or it's not working the way that I think it should, then I have real world experience with it and I can work with our team. So it's pretty awesome. All right. So winding up, any other words of wisdom, Joey?
I don't really have anything. Nothing I can think of.
All
Just
right,
learn.
Yeah. So one more question before we kind of, wrap up the show. What are your goals with being a freight broker here at B2B Transportation?
One goal I can think of, top of my head, is taking care of my family. I think that's a very, very good goal.
Yeah, no, that's a great goal. Yeah. And so what does that mean for you? What does that look like for Joey and his family?
Being comfortable, being confident, reaching out, making those like sales pitches, and just being out there.
Awesome. Well, appreciate that.
Being successful, I guess I should say.
What's that? Sorry.
Being successful.
Being successful. Good. All right. So we're going to do a quick plug. Those of you may or may not know, we started a merchandise line. It's called, the website's freightbrokerdude.com. And since you're watching this, there's a code out there, new 10, that'll get you 10% off. This hat is a camel hat. I know you can't see it, but it's really cool. It's my favorite new hat out of all the ones in the store because I've ordered everything because that's my job, is to make sure it's good merchandise, but it's the flex fit. So if you're a hat guy, it's the flex fit, super comfortable. And it just so happens that the football game I'm going to tonight is camo night. So I'm like, I got the perfect hat for that. So freightbrokerdude.com. We also have Broker Babe. If we have our truckers watching, we have Trucker Dude that's coming out and Trucker Babe as well. So we're hitting all of it. One of the things we're really excited about this launch is that we are going to take 10% of 10% of the profit and take that, earmark it for carriers to attend Broker Carrier Summit. So if you haven't checked out Broker Carrier Summit, it's coming up October 22nd if you're playing in the golf tournament. The actual event of the conference is the 23rd to the 25th. That is in Dallas, Fort Worth. This is put on by people that are freight brokers and are in the industry. And I think that's important to point out because they're coming from it from our standpoint. It's not somebody trying to put together a program to cater to us. They've lived it, they know it, and that's where they're coming from. And they're just trying to bring brokers and carriers together to create a stronger community and get rid of all the double brokers, the scumbags in our industry that are unfortunately giving a lot of us a bad name. So if you haven't checked it out, Broker Carrier Summit, super pumped. Chad Atkinson and I, our director of recruiting, are heading down there. Hopefully his back holds up. I told him if his back isn't fixed, I'm going to find a new golf partner. So Chad, I already told you that, so that's no surprise. I'm really joking though. I'll carry you along. No big deal. All right. So wrapping up, baby brokers to boss brokers, from zero to zeros. Appreciate you, Joey. We're looking forward to it. If you guys don't know, we go live again Monday at 10 a.m. Same channels. We got Alan Gayton. Super excited to share his story as well. And thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. See you soon, Joey.